I don't want to not have the conversation. I don't know.
Nah, you good.
But my next element was to get into some of your seasoning magazine. I wanted to
Okay.
give that some light too. So that's what this. Oh, nah, it is back at the beginning still. I just shifted everything. No, not this. That. Come on. Nah, don't ask that now. I'm gonna do this again. Hold up.
You good.
Share screen.
Take your time.
Open that up. Mm-hmm. Boom. Here we go. Sorry, here we go. We got, let me maximize this. So we got what looks like early inception seasoning magazine. It's like one of the, I think it's one of like your first pictures on Instagram. And so I wanted to kind of highlight this just because like this is what I got on my side, like
Yeah.
It's a white screen. You can't see my notebook, but it's a notebook.
Right.
With all my notes, and it's like most of what I do is like it's somewhere in there, and then I create the artwork, and you see the final product. But like it starts in a space like this where it's like there's text. Like they ask you, when am I going to use math or whatever? It's like you go use it when you're trying to plan with your future. So,
Yeah. So it's funny you say that because like that shoot was actually more so like a personal shoot. At the time, the magazine was already done, the first edition. I literally was just like, I want to do a shoot. I had somebody that wanted to do this. The photographer is Julian Clayton. Also goes by PRDX Photography on Instagram. Producer as well, photographer. But he was, he and I were first connecting and building as far as like working together, collaborating. And he was like, yo, I'm going to shoot with you. I'll do something for the birthday. That's cool. I'm like, let's do it. And it was actually supposed to be more so a personal shoot for myself, but I had to think of a concept that was different. So I said, this is a light that a lot of people don't see me in, but this is what I do. Like the only difference is that I'm not dressed up all the time.
Right.
But to go into certain meetings, I have to dress up. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to meet with certain city officials and do a PowerPoint presentation on the campus, why we should get sponsorship. Yeah, I'm gonna wear a blazer. And I'm gonna wear, a shirt. And I'm gonna do a presentation. So, long story short, like, once I saw the first edition, I pretty much did the first edition. I probably did maybe about 80% of the photographs. And once I was able to do that, I started seeing a bigger vision of artistry. And, it was funny because Sindora, shout out to Miss Sindora, she goes by Sindorable on Instagram. She's a singer, she was a muse at this time. Back in the day, this is what, 2017, I want to say. Yeah, she was like, yo, why don't we, she's like, look, you got some dope stuff in the mag. And I was like, I think I got an idea. She's like, what? I was like, maybe I can try to do a vision wall, I guess you could say. But let me just use the first edition. So I had a first edition, dismantled it. Yeah, you see the elements.
I was looking at that in that second image. I don't know if they can see, but I was looking through it at first, and I saw it, and I was like, this doesn't look too familiar. So I was like, maybe this was like a vision board that he was like using to reference. But now that I'm looking at it, I was like, nah, that's Parrish right there. And that's his artwork. That's Carm.
Yeah, that's Carm stuff. That's fire. So it was just
double promotion.
But it was basically to get the public to see a different side of what I do, because they'll see the images. I wanted them to see kind of like the versatility in the craft as well. You know what I mean? Like, to do a lot of those images and it look very different. That's also very dope. So there's a lot of different elements to it. But that was very fun in a sense of like, that part. So the part with the board, that idea was, I started thinking like, there's stuff in my head that people don't see.
Right.
So how can I translate that? So I literally I went to, I'm not even gonna say this. Well, I could say the school, right? I could say, all right. So I went to HU's campus, right? Look, I snuck in.
I was going to ask that. I was like, yo, this
Yeah.
looks exactly like one of the buildings.
I'm not gonna tell you the building. I'm gonna just say, I
It's
snuck
cool.
in on the campus. You know what I'm saying? You know, it was cool. You know, I also had some people, that were also students that I worked with. So, pulled up into the classroom, grabbed the, marker and just started writing and just started like translating everything as like a formula. It's like what would create the magazine. You know what I'm saying? And then I said, I was gonna erase it, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna leave it. So whoever literally pulls up in that classroom, they might get a little bit of a bit of knowledge, or they could take it and run with it or something. Kind of like my way of giving back. You know what I'm saying?
Either that or either that or the next professor would come in and be like, "Why didn't you erase the board after they was done?"
Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, I had them take shots while I was doing it. So
nice.
I think that was my idea of like, I'm gonna do a classroom, I'm gonna do this, and Sindora is gonna be like someone assisting me with this. But she's, she, as far as the board, like the vision board, she really was the one that hand wise like did everything, placed it there. You know what I'm saying? She started me with a starting point, and then I was like, all right, let's go this way, this way, this way. Let's try this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was almost like when Iron Man pulls up that screen, that just pops up out of nowhere. It's like doing all that shit. That's how I looked at it on the wall.
Yeah. All that labor is not to be like disrespected. Like there's a lot of tack into a wall, a lot of pages to like put out.
Yeah, man.
Just for the shot. It's worth it, man.
Yeah, and I just want to shout out real quick, Aaron Mosby. He goes by the artist name Surreal, but Nora James on Instagram now. NORAA.James. But he's a contemporary artist. He's the one that was a graphic artist for the first and second edition. So I gotta shout him out. You know what I'm saying? I gave him the images. You know what I'm saying? I gave him the concepts as far as verbiage, what I'm thinking. Boom, boom. He put it together. He freestyled some stuff. He was literally from the beginning, literally part of the process and the vision. So got to shout him out real quick. So yeah.
My actual interest in Ceasoning magazine, I wanted to get like the background, that history, but I noticed something on your Ceasoning magazine's Instagram page that like was very like today, and kind of contemporary as far as conversations and how we're interacting with the community. So I want to get into these 5 tips you dropped during COVID.
Nice.
Because I thought it was like just a unique way to like share Ceasoning magazine in a space that wasn't the magazine. It's like I'm using this as a platform to like still communicate and convey these same issues about care, about creatives, but addressing like, all right, this is where we at right now. So let's talk about what we're dealing with during this time period. I thought it was you had these 5 tips. When I scrolled through them, and I was like, this is interesting. So I kind of want to like kind of go through them kind of quickly, maybe ask a couple questions about each one, like how you maybe did some of these things for yourself and whether like an inspiration. So tip 1 was take a break from social media and do self-care activities. So like what are some maybe self-care activities you might have done in relation to this tip?
So what I would say is definitely exploring meditation more. The concept of that, realizing that not only that, but also being able to take a break from what you're used to doing all the time and then give yourself a little bit of a reprieve. So what that may be is like, for me, for instance, naturally I do shoots, you know what I'm saying? I work on our magazine, I'm also doing answering emails, corresponding, conference calls, the whole 9. So I have to schedule things usually in advance, right? Yeah. But then I realized like it's okay to have a day where you don't have anything planned in the rigmarole. No one has to know. You can just do that yourself and give yourself the time to say, you know what, today I want to do something that I want to do. If it's whether I want to take an hour and just, listen to what I want to listen to as far as music, if it's like, something different than just, the whole clean up stuff. Like that's part of what you do is like the cycle of what you do. But self-care would be like, you know, for some people it might be going to a massage or get a massage or go to a spa day. You know, some people is just going out to the park or going to the beach and just reading a book. You know, I used to do that sometimes. I would say recently the self-care activities, or I say now, is meditation, definitely, but also exploring something mentally that I want to. So whether it's that's like watching a movie, rewatching a movie with a different mindset, or, you know, it might be literally like just talking to people, you know, just, you know what, I'm just going to cook a meal.
Yeah.
I'm going to order some food real quick, you know, treat myself real quick. Let's be honest, we want to treat ourselves sometimes. So I look at self-care is it can also lead to like treating yourself, you know what I mean? But giving yourself the ability to accept that that's important to you, like, and that's important to your functioning. Like, you can't be all work and doing things for others and then not giving yourself the ability to recharge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right around like when the pandemic and isolating and all that stuff started happening, I was burnt out up to that point, just off of me doing me. Like I probably had like 3.5 jobs at the time, where I was just like, they were all part-time. So I was like working here, working there, whatever.
Right.
And I was fine, I was fine with working that heavy, but like when I noted, like I was also like dreading some of it too. I was like, man, this is just a lot. I'm like, and then like that break gave me such a breath to be like, all right, cool, I don't have to do as much. And I really like I low-key almost disappeared for a minute. Like somebody I had met, you know, within the last year or so, maybe a couple of months, had actually reached out to me. It was like, I noticed I haven't seen you posting on social media, Facebook. I just want to check in and see you all right. And I was like, y'all, appreciate that. I needed to step away. Like it wasn't for me at the time. And you know, I was literally like sitting on my couch just like watching Disney Plus for hours on end every day. That's really all I was doing. Like I couldn't make art. I was just like, this is me, I'm chilling. And once I like did it long enough, I was like, hey, can't nobody tell me not to chill right now? Like I'm chilling. And then by like April, I got into like running and exercise, and that was like a thing that I used to get my energy back up and start moving. So fire. Let me get to hop into tip 2, have conversations with loved ones and share good times. So who are some people you maybe like relied on to do that with?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would say definitely. You know, of course, it's still relevant now because we're still going through this, you know, time right now where things haven't been quote unquote back to normal and restrictions. But yeah, I would say like conversation with loved ones. I would say it's like looking at your inner circle. You know, for me, I had to look at, you know, one thing I did just to be transparent was, you know, my magazine team. I was like, look, you know, with this going on right now, just focus on yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Focus on what you got going on. We'll reconvene, you know, in due time. But I need to see how this art scene and how things are going to progress with all these restrictions and events. And because you got to think, man, we went from having events going on every other weekend or whatever to literally nothing. And, you know, everybody having to adjust in certain ways. So one thing I did is I still kept in touch with them, you know what I'm saying, throughout that, and made sure that there was still a connection of respect, and also, you know, me understanding that as a human being, you know, it's deeper than just the business aspect. It's about us getting through a hard time. You know, we got loved ones that are going through it, but it's also like we don't have to think about that all the time. So my thing was like, hey, let's talk about some good times. Let's reminisce, you know, we could plan ahead, you know what I mean? But it's definitely just having the conversation of like human voice, you know what I'm saying? Like we've gotten so used to like the emails, the texting, the DMs that, you know, we don't hear the inflictions and emotions in people's voices like we used to. So I realized actually talking with people really just, you know, you can relay emotions a little bit better than, hey, I love you through a text message, or, you know, hey, I miss you through a text message. When someone can hear, you know, I miss you. It's a little bit different that they can interpret it. So for me, it was definitely my team, my family. You know, my mom was definitely somebody. She's in New York, so you know, definitely the beginning of the pandemic. You know, for a little while, New York was hit very hard compared to other places. So definitely keeping in touch with her about that. My grandmother up there in the Bronx. But family members is definitely my aunt in the Bronx as well. But just keeping in touch with this family all around. to let people also know that you're not alone going through what you're going through.
Right.
I think that's important because of the whole isolation concept, we haven't been doing family gatherings too much. We haven't been doing all the get-togethers for like graduations and all these different things that we come together for, even funerals like that. So, I realized like, really having that ability to connect with your loved one, especially through this time. I say life is short, you know what I'm saying? So let's connect, let's see how we can continue to flourish as a family, or, how we care for each other, whether it's a good friend or whatever.
Yeah, same for me. It was like a couple of some of my crew from Hampton. We did a couple of Zoom joints, which is interesting. It's interesting, like how men maybe translated this moment between each other versus like men and women, or women and women. Like
definitely,
men are like to be rigid. They like to kind of keep it to themselves. But like my close friends, like I don't know, now in our 30s, we're all like much more in touch with our emotions and aware of each other's emotions, and man, like, yo, like I need to talk to y'all, like I need to see y'all, whatever, like every now and then. There was even I don't know if you know another photographer in the kind of Hampton Roads, Norfolk area, Will Spruill. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but
no.
He I have an interview with him on my channel, but he and I were on a committee together, and we were having a conversation on the committee. Where everybody, we all at the committee was having a conversation about, we were having I think we were having a talk about like the artwork that we were going to choose for something. And then I had messaged him after the conversation because of something that either he was saying or I was saying, or we was about like talking about. So I just hit him like a DM. I was like, either that or I might have texted him and like, yo, bop. And then he called me back on the DM. He was like, yeah, I don't know, I ain't really doing text right now. I like to talk and see people right now. And we built we kind of built we had a super long conversation, just like talking about everything. So that was like a really good moment for me in this time. It was just like, another man being like, nah, I need to see your face and talk to you.
Definitely.
Being confident, transparent, and to be able to say that to like, yeah, I need to talk to you this way. So like a lot of my friends have been have taught me that as well, being like, you can reach out to your male friends and talk to them. Like we need that.
I think I would say I would call that like, and that's something I made a personal quest on like recently, but like emotional stability, I would say, in a sense, as men, like really valuing that concept where we can still say, I love you to a man, and it's not deemed suspect, or, yo, you my brother, you know what I'm saying? Or, I have good friends that consider me, uncles to their children, you know what I'm saying? Just off of life path, we might not be biologically related, but just through life we've connected, our ideals connect, but we've gone through forges of respect, and there's been a understanding of, I guess you could say, loyalty as a friend, to, seeing you progress in life type thing. So it's just like, you see different characteristics and understanding character assessment. And as men, especially us, like we got to really pay attention to the fact that we do have things we have to work on, especially when it comes to navigating our emotions. And it's definitely work that we can do on our own. But I think also like the concept of finding the right partner is what also makes us able to progress. It's like, we're not designed to be alone. Like as human beings are not designed to be alone.
Right.
Like if it was that way, then why would we have organs to reproduce? You know what I'm saying? Why would we have the concept of mating? Why would it be the concept of sexuality, or would it be the concept of family?
Right.
Like, so, when you look at all those different things, like we have to pay attention to that as human beings. And when I looked at, when it came to the whole COVID and isolation, I saw that element really affecting people, a lot. I saw it a little bit in myself, for sure, but not to the degree of other people. Like, people are literally bugging out, like, I can't do nothing, I can't go nowhere, I'm stuck in the house. You know what I mean? This is like, okay, I get it, but I know there's other tips too, right, that we got there.
We're gonna do that. So let's carve out that space to create in your living environment, don't be afraid to change the aesthetic in that space.
Yes.
So yeah, you get into that. I'm trying to think of something that related to that. But you can go ahead and you got
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. So that simply for me was just literally like, I looked at just, a lot of people that are creatives that I've encountered in life, and some of them have living situations with families and whatnot.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard for them to kind of create in their element because they don't have the setup. But I look at it like, when there's a will, there's a way. I know for me, when I first started doing photography, I was in a 1-bedroom apartment, and I used my living room as a setup to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't tell at all in the shots, but
Yeah.
I did it in such a way where I still was able to produce what I wanted to produce. And fast forward to now, of course, I have my studio space, but and I made sure, once I valued the ability to create a space like that and the accessibility to do that and how important that was, like I didn't do that with a roommate. You know what I'm saying? Not saying I
Right.
didn't want to do that, but just once I was able to see the value of that, and then I saw I transition into the studio in my garage. I see the value of that, and then I'm out here when the garage is too cold, so I need to shoot in the dining room, or I need to shoot in the living room, whatever.
Yeah.
But it still works. Again, I'm producing stuff to this day that I shot in the dining room, whatever. You can't tell
Right.
because I know how to set it up. But long story short, I meet a lot of people that, when they struggle. One thing I saw that was kind of like synonymous was when a lot of people were struggling creatively to produce that I knew of or I connected with, I would ask them, like, where are you creating? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
photographers naturally, they'd be like, hey, I shoot outdoors all the time, whatever. So I got to go here, or use a studio over here.
Mm-hmm.
Then I meet painters that are like, I paint in my room, or I got a paint room where I paint the bedroom. And then
Yeah.
they become in a relationship or whatever. So then they end up being, they gotta be mindful, they gotta
Yeah.
turn the paint room into a baby room.
Yeah. That's where I'm at now. I'm
And
trying to reconfigure.
yeah, you gotta reconfigure some stuff, put a little make a art, creative section.
Yeah.
But long story short, like there's that, but then there's also just if you have your own space, sometimes you have to switch it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't be afraid to change the aesthetic, meaning like, shift the furniture around, hang certain pieces up on the wall differently. Like that's one thing that I've been
Mm-hmm.
doing. Also with the setup of when I'm shooting, I might have different things, the chairs will be different, or I might, move the furniture, like I said, or different smell goods, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
Right.
different rug. You get the point.
Right.
But long story short, like it helps to break up a level of stagnancy because I look at it like energy flowing, and sometimes you might have to burn that sage. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like re-kick a whole nother, move stuff around, open the windows up. Instead, no lights today. I'm gonna just do
Mm-hmm.
natural light in the space. Like that's one thing I like to do too is like use natural light to just light up the room. Like right now, I'm using
Right.
just natural light from the windows. It's daytime, I don't have the light blasting. I don't want to cut down the electricity bill,
Right.
but I also want to give my space the ability to be seen in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I see the clutter differently, or I see the
Right.
cleanliness differently. But yeah, that's just important to just kind of not be afraid to say, what, if I'm going to do this, let me set up a place for me to do this that's conducive for my environment to create,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. That's what when I was so for the 3 years that I was in grad school, I was
Mm-hmm.
I was renting my sister's house out down in Norfolk. So I was living there. All my art stuff was at campus where my studio was at because I had the space to create there. It was, I could make a mess. I didn't have to worry about nothing. But like my house was bland and I didn't see it as an issue because that wasn't the space
Mm-hmm.
where I was creating. I wasn't really spending that much time there. I was like, I go to campus and like early on, I was going to campus and staying until like 12 o'clock, 12 p.m., almost 2 sometimes, just like, because for one, I didn't have internet at home. So I was like, well, I can access internet here. So I'll just stay here until I need to go home to go to sleep and eat, And so then, but when I moved back, or when I finished my program, like I had all this artwork and it was just sitting up against the walls and trying to figure out what to do with it. And then for my birthday that year, was it that? Yeah, it was for my birthday that year. I
Yeah.
decided to hang everything up, and then that space just transformed into like a creative space again. And that's when I was able to kind of use that as a studio space, and it was popping in. And even then, like that opened space to other people. So like I had a good friend, Kyler Davis, who I've had on my channel a couple of times, where he would talk about not being able to work that much at his home, but every time he came over to kick it with me at my crib, like he always either saw something differently and he was able to work.
Yeah.
So you're having that, this one's a good one, having that space or find a new space to go do some creativity. Number 4, take this time to build on personal skills and crafts. I know this one is pretty like kind of straightforward with it too, because even with myself, like that's what I'm doing now. Like my April Agent series is me just like going back to the basics and like let me get back to illustrating in a sketchbook and focusing on that. And I like to do that every now and then because it reminds me of either again gets my skills better, my crafts. But like one of my friends I just did for her birthday, I called her and she was just I called her just to tell her happy birthday, and she was like, "Yo, you whipped that out so quick," and I was like. Like I can do that drawing, like a 9 by 12 drawing, like that's an hour and a half one figure. That's quick, like that's easy. But like I wasn't thinking of forgetting that we both had the same, we both went to Hampton, both were in the art department. So she has had the same skill set, but hadn't been using it as much. So for her to be able to break down a drawing like that might take a lot longer than I can knock this out in an hour and a half. Yeah. Building up that skill all the time. So. You got anything for this one?
Yeah, the main thing for that with the build on your personal skills and crafts is just more so like sharpening your sword. I look at it as practicing. Just because you're not necessarily shooting with people doesn't mean you can't do something with editing. You know what I'm saying? Right. Just because you might not be painting the things that you used to doesn't mean that you can't learn other things or just there's other things to learn, like especially like I said, when you're an artist, you are really on if you're asking for money, you're on a business wave, so you can start learning about business, learning about different things with that. So I just say like, really with that is just take the time to actually like understand that there's still to be better. You can be better, what I'm saying? And then just focus on being better. That's how I look at it. Yeah.
Nice. Tap to this last one. This was a really one I was most curious about. Re-explore your movie collection and know your personal library may come across some gem of inspiration. That's a throwback. I went back and watched like all the Star Wars movies during COVID.
Right.
I was you know what it was? I was watching the cartoon series of the Clone Wars, and I was just like, wait a minute, where does this fit in the timeline? So I had to go back and watch stuff over and be like, so that was my thing for a little bit. Let me rewatch all of this.
And it's funny because I that's something that I saw that people were naturally starting to do, like because at the time when we put this out, this is around I believe like May of last year, June of last year. You put out those tips. I forgot the time frame. I could be wrong, but long story short, like when I look at like myself, right, and I have an extensive movie collection, right, and I used to buy Blu-rays heavy. Like once the Blu-rays came out, it was like Blu-ray. Like I'm getting one. So I started watching some of the. I'm gonna just keep it on. I was watching Marvel movies again. When things started kind of getting a little crazy, and the reason why I was watching it because I was watching it on a lot of different levels again. Like I started to look at it and say, okay, the wow factor is gone. Let me like really analyze this. Right. And then when I started analyzing like character development, the different components that made it dope, or the storytelling, or things that they adapted from the comics, because I was also a comic head. Okay. So, I was always looking at the movies with that comic eye, you know what I mean? But to still see, wow, this is a generation that's about to know these characters, not from comic books, but from movies. Right. And then I'm looking at the quality of what was put in, the casting, all the written, the stuff, the story that was told. And I'm just like, this is crazy. Like y'all connected all these movies, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you got me, and then you got a movie with Black Panther, of course, R.I.P. to Chadwick Boseman, but then you saw his introduction in Civil War, you know what I mean? So you just saw like for me, so once I saw all these different things, it's made me say, you know, it can take time to get these things done, and it's going to take proper people to get these things done. And I say, you know what? I can go about this magazine a little bit differently. You know, let me try to take my time and observe and really pay attention to what I can do, yes, but then pay attention to who can I bring on next and where the need is going to be going forward, all these different things, and be adaptable. But that was my own interpretation from watching these type of movies and other things too, but just something as a reference point. And I think that you know, I look at it like, you know, when you looked at, you know, we buy these things, you know what I'm saying? We purchase things, we buy books, you know, and that's another thing too. I started looking at books again, I started reading, going back to the books that I haven't finished, getting a little bit more involved reading again. And I started saying, you know, we're at that point now where our perception is going to be key going forward to really to have a sense of adaptability, but also a sense of reconnecting again as human beings, you know, in my opinion. So I feel like, you know, we gotta explore what we invest in. So like I said, I started looking at the movies, started reading again, and I was like, okay, start playing video games a little bit again too, spare time. Not an extensive like, yo, I got time.
Right.
But you know, I might, you know, for an hour get me in real quick, play Streets of Rage or something like that.
True.
You know, nostalgia. But yeah, you get the point.
Yes, sir. Yes,
but
sir.
yeah, man.
But that was
yeah, that was
I like where this all went, man. I was
yeah, me too, man. I
figured,
appreciate the convo.
I think I'm gonna end up having to chop this one, kind of doing a segment.
Yeah, they might do a part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, I think if I chop it right at the season, then I'll just like, boom, here go part 2.
Yeah,
that's that conversation.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. So, and it's dope because I definitely want to connect with you on something off the record. You know, one thing about me, I have a lot of projects that I work on. But it's something I talked to Clayton about, and I think that, you know, I think we could probably really connect on this because it's an initiative. But you know how I do. I can't. I gotta get some stuff lined up before I expose it. But yeah, I definitely want to say, man, this, you know, I appreciate the energy, the conversation. You know, for me, this is definitely one of those, you know, things where as a society and as us as a culture, we have to really pay attention to, you know, what they say. Somebody said, like, give them your flowers while they're here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I didn't really respect that until, you know, I really started seeing, like, over the past few years, like, a lot of people leaving unexpected. Like, look at a guy like Chadwick Boseman. You know what I'm saying? Like I referenced earlier, like when he left, it was just kind of like, whoa, nobody had a clue. And it's like, we already knew he was a dope dude, good actor, but it's like, whoa, he left. And we were like, oh no. So with that being said, and it's happened with other people too, you know what I mean? But it's just, you know, I'm at the point now where, you know, even when I did the panel with you guys for the Life from All Sides exhibit, you know, to me that was an honor. You know what I'm saying? I looked at it, guys, you know, you guys doing such a dope show and just the caliber of artists that you were. Well, you are, sorry, but you were in the position to do that exhibit, especially do a crazy time.
Yeah.
And it was a dope show. Like, it was crazy. But long story short, man, like, I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing with the sketches, with everything. I mean, you went all the way to the West Coast. You know, I'm probably pointing to the wrong direction. But, you know, it's just dope to see that you're there and you're doing things there and you're keeping it going. You know what I'm saying? You're building. You know, just you know, a lot of people are looking at being inspired. You know what I'm saying? In a lot of different ways, and that's what I have to learn. So, you know, I'm glad to be able to tell my story. You know, any way I can help. You know, as you move forward, we're gonna do that. But yeah, man, stay tuned. I got some things in the work. Just to plant the seed, probably, you know, by this time or when this comes out. But the plan is to definitely do some workshops coming up. So stay tuned for that. You know, by this time, workshops probably already happened or whatever. We'll see. But yeah, just planting that seed right here. So
for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, man. For real.
Yeah. So you can tell them where to find you at on the socials and
for sure.
close it out there.
For sure. So on Instagram, it's m.smarttguy, m.smarttguy. And then there's Ceasoning Magazine, which is spelled with a C.
Right.
So Ceasoning Magazine on Instagram, on Facebook as well. Website is seasoningmag.net. So you can definitely check it out there. As far as the blog, as far as link to get the digital copy of the second edition. Also some of the articles that we post, you get the tips as well, that you just referenced. But also, a website coming soon for my personal artistry. But
nice.
I'm on Facebook, Nalan Smartt, Nala Smart with 2 T's. And yeah, man, just I love feedback. One thing I'll say, anybody watching this, don't be afraid to reach out. Tell me what you interpret, what you see. I'm all for understanding what the artistry does for you as a person and what you see, because I still have a vision, yes, but that's what I love about art is it's relative. So yeah, I appreciate the feedback wholeheartedly, man. Like you did today, man. That was awesome. I appreciate that.
I've always had this thing where when somebody does give me feedback about something of mine that I create, it always makes me want to go back and either, look at it again and try to look at it through their perspective that they had given me, because I'm like, it just gives me a new way to like explore in the future. It's like, oh, wow, that's how they saw that coming into it. And it lets me know like at what point they're, at what level they're reaching it versus what level I was kind of trying to portray. So it kind of helps me like kind of close that gap to where like when they see it, either we immediately, get the idea and we move forward together, or it's enough for them to like just explore and continue to kind of figure out on their own, but they get the gist of what I'm going for. So yeah, I get that. That feedback. That's what feedback is definitely for. It's like
definitely
the artist can understand the world, or how if the world that they see is being received, as they reflect it back on the people. So fire, man. This is super dope, man.
Yes, sir.
Great conversation.
Yes.
So yeah, you know how we're gonna keep up. We here, we there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're gonna link, man. I'm gonna hit you up in the next few days. We're gonna wrap. I'm gonna talk to you about. Just gotta reconnect with Mr. CS behind the scenes. And, reconnect. But yeah, man. Appreciate it again, man. Sure. Much love, man. Much respect to everything you're doing. You've been killing the mural game when you was out here, so I can't wait to hear what you're doing out there, man, for sure.
Thanks.
But yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity, man. Catch up with you, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mensah. All right, peace, bro.
We're out of here.
Agency, peace.